Hey guys, welcome to another Texas Bolt Action Battle Report. Got a very, very special battle for you today. We've got Seamus Hamrin down from Chicago. He's down in Austin, Texas, and we're going to try to get this game out before he has to go to the airport. And then I've also got Casey Pittman with me. We are in Tunisia, in northern Tunisia today, kind of around the area of Toburba, where it's very green and it's been raining a lot, and the roads are very muddy. And we have two very large forces that are going to clash here today. For the U.S., I've got a infantry platoon and an armored platoon that Seamus and I are going to be dividing up. And Casey has brought his DAC army to participate, and I guess they'll be kind of standing in for like the 10th Panzer. So it's going to be really fun. I'll go ahead and go over what the U.S. brought before we go over what the Germans brought. I've got a regular first lieutenant, and kind of the backbone of this force are two 10-man Ranger squads. I've got 3 regular infantry squads. I think one of them is an 8-man, and the rest are 7 men, and they have BARs and that sort of stuff. They're going to be supported by a regular bazooka, a regular Stuart tank with all of the machine guns, and some of them can be transported by this truck. And there is a regular medium howitzer back here that will also be laying down some fire support. The tank platoon has a assortment of tanks. It's got 2 regular Shermans from the 1st Armored Division, 1 M3 Lee tank, and then we have 2 regular Stuarts that will also be giving support. There's a regular MMG, and then there is 1 8-man squad of regulars here that will be transported in a half track. And then there is a regular medium AT gun and a regular Dodge to tow it. So that's what the Americans are bringing. I'm going to go here and let Casey tell us what we have for the Germans.
You got 4 regular DAC infantry squads.
Okay.
Light machine gun, NCO will have a submachine gun. Medium machine gun, first lieutenant. Tiger, regular. 2 Panzer IIIs. Panzer IV light howitzer. 8 rad, regular half track. A 222. Pack 50, so medium AT gun. The Lorraine Schlepper, I'm going to say that wrong. So heavy howitzer, and then another half track.
Okay.
Not as much as
And we've
Americans.
got an Opel Blitz over here, right?
Yes.
All right, so we're going to be playing a modified version of a scenario that has not come out yet, that is going to be featured in the the future book. That's it's the was it the War of France, or like what's
Battle
the
of France.
Battle of France? But this is modified for Tunisia because that's what we have, and yeah, we're going to go ahead and play it out. It's been raining very hard on our battlefield, so this road is going to be very muddy. This road is going to be very muddy. Currently, it's so muddy that it doesn't give vehicles an advantage. In fact, it's going to be regarded as rough ground. And this road is actually going to be functional. So we're just going to say that the rain has washed up this road from the mountain. The Americans will start dug in. The Germans are actually going to be attacking, and the goal is to try and eliminate the enemy. And for the Germans, the goal is to get as many people as they can into our deployment zone. So it's going to be a little modified. We're just doing this for fun. But it's going to be a really fun battle, so hope you like it. We're going to go ahead and deploy now, and we'll let you know how we deploy, so stay tuned. Hey guys, we're back after the deployment. I've got Seamus and I decided to set up about a quarter of our force on the table. Everyone else is in reserves. In this scenario, the reserves get to come on in turn 1, so we decided we would hold them back for the preparatory bombardment. Both teams are going to get one, so we get to bombard the Germans and they get to bombard us. So this is shaping out kind of like an El Guitar style scenario or something like that. Okay, so basically we have 2 Ranger squads right here, dug in and hidden in these trenches. Seamus positioned the anti-tank gun down here in these rooms so that it has a view of the board. We have the howitzer stationed back here at the base of the mountain. Also has a pretty good view of the board. And we put a regular squad in this forward position here. And Seamus went ahead and stationed the M3 Lee, dug in kind of in a hold down position up in this trench. Meanwhile, Casey had this whole area to deploy. So he brought on the Panzer Corps with the light howitzer. He brought on one squad of infantry back behind this hard cover. He has the Tiger moving up that has a pretty clear view of that Lee over there. He put a anti-tank gun, no, I'm sorry, that would be a MMG here in the woods. He also placed a Pac 38 or Pac 40?
Pac 50.
Pac 50, ooh, big heavy AT gun right here. Medium AT gun. And then he placed a Panzer coming up the road. Now remember, this road is good to go. It's the other road that is saturated with water and will not be able to be used. It counts as rough ground. He also put his howitzer back here, kind of as a back line, and then he has a Panzer III hanging out in the orchard, or in the olive grove, to see what it can see. So we're going to go ahead and play the prep bombardment, and we'll let you know the results of that, so stay tuned. All right, guys, we're back after the preparatory bombardment. So as you can see, the bombardment went pretty well for the U.S., but the Germans also got some hits in as well. So shells are just starting to fall all over the field. It actually seems more like maybe a bomber flew over and just discharged its bombs. But anyway, this Panzer took a direct hit, but it did not penetrate. So he's pinned 3 times. Scared the Lorraine enough that he took a pin. This Panzer took 2 pins. We had this guy take 2 pins as well. So basically everybody in the vicinity of this Panzer got scared. The machine gun team unfortunately took a direct hit and they took 3 pins and lost a man, as well as this squad over here, which also took a direct hit and lost a man. So they are, and that managed to put pins on everybody else. This guy did not receive any pins, but the Tiger received 2 pins, and pretty much everybody else received pins as well. Meanwhile, for the German bombardment of the Americans, the Ranger squad did take 2 pins, so they did take a little bit of fire, as well as the machine gun team in the trees. The lead took 2 pins as well, and then the regulars in the forward position took a pin, and the medium AT gun also took a pin. So probably also due to the fact that it sees a Tiger now across the field from it. So we're going to go ahead and play turn 1. I'm really excited about this battle. There's going to be a lot of armor. Anyway, stay tuned and we'll let you know how turn 1 goes. All right, guys, we're back after turn 1. Pretty eventful turn. We had a lot of exchanges of fire. The Germans are pushing, as you can see, onto the table. Their goal was to get across this muddy road and try to get people into our setup zone, which is back here on this hill. So they're coming at it from all angles. So let's kick off with the firefight over here on the flank. Early in the game, we had a truck loaded down with infantry and bazookas roll onto the table. The infantry jumped out, took shots at the Lorraine over here, put a pin on it. And then the bazooka did the same thing, but missed. The truck also shot at it when it came on the table and missed. But we had 2 tanks arrive, a Sherman and a Stuart. Both of them hit. The Sherman managed to penetrate and managed to immobilize it, so it's no longer going to be moving. And then the Stuart hit and caused superficial damage and basically just stunned the crew. It was helped out by this 8 Rad here that fired at the truck but missed. And the tank in the woods tried to help out but failed its orders test. So this tank got in gear and rolled up and pivoted and fired at the infantry with its guns and missed most of them, and actually missed all of them. And then it also fired at its main gun at... Did it fire its main gun? I think maybe it just fired at the infantry. But that triggered an ambush over here in the house. So the medium AT gun fired down the lane at the tank and missed, unfortunately. So that was that. The Tiger, what did the Tiger do, Casey? Nothing. Yeah, failed an orders test and went down. The Lorraine also, earlier when it tried to activate, before it was pinned, also failed its orders test. So the bombardment really kind of helped out the U.S. here. Meanwhile, the Pack tried to fire at the other AT gun in the ambush position, but missed. It was supported by this vehicle that came on, and I think did the same, right? And also missed. So the new half track there, looking very nice. The medium machine gun team rallied. And managed to get its pins shed. This infantry squad was unable to activate, so it ended up just going down. But it was supported by half track and the medium howitzer Panzer. Both of them fired at various units. This Panzer tried to fire at the Lee up here and missed. The 222 also tried to fire at the Lee, but also missed. So the German attack was kind of fraught with pins and some misses. So it kind of stalled a little bit, but they're probably going to be bringing on some reinforcements in the next turn. We have over here the howitzer did try to target the Pack, but missed. But it fired indirectly, so it's ranging in. We basically had a lot of squads just kind of rally and shed their pins. These guys rallied, the Rangers rallied and just went down. We did bring on a Stuart, and an officer showed up on the scene to help support these guys up here. And then we also had the Lee did the Lee just go down, or what?
He failed his orders.
He failed his order system. The Lee actually couldn't get it together, so it still has its pins and is still in place. So the Germans are coming across the valley floor, and we're going to go ahead and play turn 2, and we'll let you know how that played out. So stay tuned. Okay guys, we're back after turn 2, and as you can see there are lots of smoldering vehicles right now on the field. Had a little bit of a tank battle. We'll start with this right here. Casey, as you recall last turn, had moved this tank and turned its side. It sprung the ambush last turn and the AT gun missed, but this time they found their target. First guy out of the bag, knocked out this Panzer III, so that happened. And then the Stuart came up and knocked out the Lorraine, but this tank returned in kind and knocked out this Sherman over here. But that prompted this bazooka team to very bravely jump out of cover, run up, and fire their bazooka round into the orchard, and they managed to knock out that Panzer III out of the olive grove. So Casey brought up on this flank a new half track full of veterans who jumped out and got into these rocks. Before that, these men had started advancing to try and take that cover, but they were met with fire from the veterans. Didn't kill them all, but did pin them. but they shed their pin to fire back, and they these guys also took fire from this truck, which probably would rather not be on the battlefield, but at this point the situation is desperate. Yeah, so we have to fire all the machine guns. Meanwhile, Seamus brought one of his Shermans up to this side of the field, so it was just out of view of all the Tigers and everything like that, and put its machine guns down on that half track and caused it to take a pin. Meanwhile, the Americans brought up some reinforcements. This US M3 half track came up and fired at the 8 Rad down the way there, but missed, and the infantry, my infantry was ordered on from this corner, and they're moving to take up a position in the rocks so that they can maybe kind of keep the Germans at bay over there. Meanwhile, the German advance over here, the Germans have really kind of found their legs, and they started advancing again. The AT gun took a particular shellacking from various weapons. I believe the machine gun fired at the AT gun, as well as the pack, which scored a direct hit with an HE round. And then they also took fire from this half track over here. So the AT gun is in bad shape. It's pinned 3 times. Everybody's been killed except one person. The U.S. officer is trying to get over near it to give it a little bit of help on this next turn, but it'll be interesting to see if it can make it that long. Meanwhile, the Germans hopped out of this half track and they began their assault on the hill. Now remember, this is all swampy ground. It's very, very rough ground because of all the rain in Tunisia, and they are just getting up to the hill, and they're starting to take fire from the Rangers. Before they jumped out of their half track, this MG team opened up fire and pinned them in their half track and pinned the half track as well. But it took fire back from the men who successfully jumped out, killing all but one. So this gun is down to 1 man. But that also prompted the Stuart to bring all 5 of its machine guns to bear. It fired its AT gun at the Panzer IV and put a pin on it, but could not penetrate the thick front armor. And it laid all 5 machine guns down on these guys in the rear. But it didn't. It was 6 on 6 to hit, so it didn't manage to kill anybody. Meanwhile, this squad just went down, and the other Ranger squad is in ambush. So they haven't done anything this game, so they're still hidden as far as the Germans are concerned. The howitzer is still continuing to range in on the pack, but has not yet found its target. Meanwhile, the light howitzer over here, fired at the Lee and managed to take it out on its soft armor. Actually, was it the 222? The 222 took out the lead. The Panzer fired at the
AT gun.
AT gun and helped.
That was what killed the
That's actually what killed the 2 people. Okay. So the AT gun is just taking a lot of fire from a lot of different directions. Obviously, the Germans went out of there. The Tiger, what did the Tiger do this turn besides cause everybody a lot of Tiger fear?
I don't think anything.
I think he failed an orders test and actually had to go down.
No, he fired his gun at someone. And he fired it at the Lee and missed.
That's right. He fired his 88 up at the Lee while the Lee was still alive and missed. So the Tiger is still kind of just holding firm back here. Really, what the Tiger's doing is causing everybody to have to take morale tests before they move. So he's really helping out just by being visible. So the U.S. are quite afraid. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and play turn 3, and we will let you know how it goes. Everybody, let's see, did I cover everything? Yeah, I think I did. So anyway, this is a really fun battle so far. I hope we get to finish it. We're going to go ahead and try to play through turn 3, and we'll let you know what happens. Stay tuned. All right, so we're back after turn 3. The Germans are really starting to pick up some momentum. As you can see, they're bringing on several vehicles. The Tiger has moved up, and it's causing Tiger fear for pretty much everybody now. We'll start with what happened over here. First thing that happened is the infantry that was positioned here moved over here, fired at the squad in the rocks, killed 1. They also took some fire from this the machine gun on this truck, which also earned them another casualty. However, that infantry that was positioned here were wiped out with fire from their own Stuart because the Stuart was trying to target the 8 Rad, failed its orders test and actually rolled a foobar. And sadly, they were within 12 inches of these guys, and so they were completely mowed down by every machine gun in the Stuart. It was one of those tragic, tragic episodes of friendly fire. I'm sure everybody in the Stuart crew is feeling pretty upset about that. So the Stuart stayed where it was, didn't do anything. Bazooka advanced, fired at the 8 rad, didn't manage to hit it, and it actually drew fire back from the 8 rad and was lost his teammate. So he's now at a -1 to hit. Because of that, a truck moved up out of off the table and unloaded some regulars into these woods. So the Germans decided to reinforce this flank. There's American men that moved up into the rocks to assume the position of the earlier infantry. They fired at the squad in the woods, didn't manage to hit a single person. The truck drew fire from this half-track that has moved out into the middle of the field. It did not manage to kill the truck, but it did manage to stun the crew. So they, like I said, they probably just would not rather be here. So they're probably a little upset about that. This machine gun fired at the 8 rad did not hit at all. So the Americans are starting to have a little trouble over here, and there's the arrival of new German reinforcements is going to make it tougher for them. This Sherman did fire at that half-track when it was positioned here. Missed again with the main gun, but it did rake this squad with machine guns. I don't know if it killed anybody.
Yeah, no, that's just a pin, I think.
Yeah, I think they just added a pin to them. Meanwhile, the Rangers took fire directly from the Tiger, but it missed. But then it hit them with the machine gun, or I'm sorry, it hit them with fire from the 222, or they got hit with fire from the 222 and lost 2 men. But they did pass their orders test, and they did open up fire on the squad and managed to kill 1. The Stuart took a shot at the Panzer IV, but missed. And it raked the men back there in the back with its machine guns and managed to kill 1 as well. We've got U.S. reinforcements that came up with the Armored Division, hopped out of this truck, so they're here to lend their expertise in the battle and their long coats. And then we have this squad that just went on ambush, so they're just staying tight. And we also have this squad over here that also went on ambush. The howitzer finally hit its mark, knocked out the PaK-40 completely. So that was good. It's got new targets to find this next round if it doesn't get taken out. Meanwhile, this attack stalled. The Germans did end up having to go down here because they were taking fire from the Rangers up on the hill. This tank fired at the Rangers but missed. 222, like I said earlier, fired and managed to score a hit. This infantry weathered the fire but then didn't pass an orders test. So they ended up just having to stay where they were. The fire from the Stuart is too withering. The Tiger is still just holding the line, firing its main gun and machine guns at the Rangers, but it's one of those things where it's really just being seen, so that's doing enough. Meanwhile, the German officer is hanging out over here, giving these men courage to keep fighting, and that's all the Germans on the board. There's still a U.S. Stuart that did not that failed to materialize this turn. So we'll see if it gets on the board next turn. So we're going to go ahead and play turn 4, and we'll let you know what happens, so stay tuned. All right, we are back after turn 4, and we managed to push the Germans back a little bit, Seamus and I, but they're still coming. Like there's no end to them. We'll start over here. The U.S. did a little repositioning. They took some fire from the Germans, but this Stuart moving up into the trees managed to wipe out the squad that was here. He didn't take any fire back, so that's pretty good. These guys moved into position behind the rocks to help provide cover, just fire. The howitzer tried to fire at the half track right here, but it could not pass its Tiger fear test, so it actually just ended up going down. Meanwhile, the Tiger pulled around here and had a very harrowing duel with the Sherman tank over here. Hit the Sherman, but did not penetrate, just in a brilliant stroke of luck. And the Sherman fired back, hit the Tiger in the side, and caught it on fire. But the Tiger they were able to drop what they were doing and put the fire out. Meanwhile, the Stuart came on, fired its main gun at the Tiger, but missed. But it raked the squad with its machine guns. This Stuart over here raked this squad with machine guns and managed to kill a couple and just put pins. Meanwhile, the bazooka team passed his orders test, fired at the 8-Rad, and managed to stun the crew. So caused superficial damage, put a pin on it. This half-track fired its machine guns at this squad, but didn't manage to kill anyone, but did pin. The truck rallied, so we're trying to get that truck into gear. Like they want to go back, but they're needed because they've got that machine gun mounted on them. Yeah, that's pretty much all that happened. Over here, Casey fired his 222 at the Ranger squad, causing casualties and pins. Fired his howitzer, but missed. Fired the MG at the Rangers, also causing pins. And actually, the 222 fired at this squad here. And then we had the squad from the rear move up to take the place of the squad that was eliminated. So this is probably going to be our last turn because of time. So it's probably going to be an all or nothing kind of turn. So we're going to go ahead and try to keep Casey out of our deployment zone with the DAC, which is actually, I said earlier that they were standing in for the 10th Panzer, but if you look at their tanks, they are actually marked as the 10th Panzer. So that was kind of cool. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and play turn 5, and we'll let you know what happens. So stay tuned. All right, guys, we're back after turn 5. We had to call the game because of time. We got to get Seamus to the airport so he can get back up to the cold, cold north.
Which is 2 degrees hotter than it is here.
Which is actually, yeah, a lot hotter than it is here. Oh, just give it a month. Anyway, so crushing German victory. The Germans got 1, 2, 3, 4 units into our deployment zone, which, as you recall, was on the other side of this muddy road. The U.S. was unable to force them out, and they get 3 points for each unit that they get into that zone. So that's going to definitely put them over the edge. The U.S. did rack up 10 points, though. We got 2 points for every German unit that we destroyed, and we killed 5. So we'll go through this battle. We'll start over here on this flank. What I think we should call the battle for the orchard, or for the olive grove. Early on, the Americans had some great victories by knocking out all these tanks, but they started to lose steam. Truck that shed its pins last turn took 3 more pins from the half-track and the machine guns from the Tiger, so that was it made it pretty much useless for the rest of the game. This squad did fire on the squad in the Olive Grove. The Olive Grove squad took a lot of casualties. The 50 caliber on this half-track swung around and fired at this half-track and caused superficial damage and just stunned the crew, so it ended up having to go down. This Stuart that was just right up on these men tried to pass its orders test, but it couldn't. It took direct fire into the side by the 8-Rad that moved up, but the 8-Rad actually missed when it fired directly at it. The bazooka was killed by this squad. And that's pretty much the high and low of what happened over here. These men just ended up going down, and the officer also ended up going down, as well as the truck. So the Germans pretty much forced the U.S. out of the Olive Grove, or made it so that they actually never reached it. So the U.S. would likely have lost this little round. Meanwhile, over here, first die out of the bag, Sherman took direct fire from the Tiger before the half-track had moved over there, and ended up catching it on fire. And as a Sherman, it catches on fire easily, but the crew did put the fire out, but it went down for the rest of the turn. The Stuart moved forward very bravely, tried to get a shot on the Tiger's side armor, but missed, so that was a disappointment. Meanwhile, these squads up here just finally lost their nerve. They received so many pins, and even though they had their officer with them, none of them could activate. The howitzer did manage to score a direct hit on the half-track, but it shed its pins and moved into the victory zone. These men just ended up going down. They never really did anything. And this squad ended up shifting over here and firing at that squad, forcing them down. They took fire from the howitzer. The Stuart and the Trees also fired back at them, fired its main gun at the half track, missed, but managed to pick off a few of these guys. So just not a lot happened there. So yeah, we're calling this one a German victory. The Germans did manage to get into the deployment zone, and to be honest, if we'd have played a turn 6, I don't think that the Germans would have really been able to do anything, I don't think the Americans would have really been able to push them out. So we hope you enjoyed this video. We've got some more desert videos coming up for you very soon. And we're excited about all this new terrain we're getting. We're also going to hopefully have some Mediterranean style battles. I've got some buildings coming in the mail that I'm going to get painted up. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Let us know what you'd like to see. And as always, be sure to like and subscribe. So take care.